Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey,
Peace. Let me you're gonna have to, you're probably not gonna see him as well. You'll see it. This is Jeff London of Big Night Live right here.
What up?
And you know 1,000
Peace,
words.
Jeff. What's up, bro?
Radamiz, what up, bro?
1,000, what up?
This is
What up,
Radamiz,
bro?
a dope rapper. He just
Love
dropped
that.
an album, Lighthouse. With, how do I pronounce the
Lightman, the album.
producer's name?
It's called Lightman, the album. And it's with
Lightman,
Fortez.
the album. Mine with
Yes, sir. All
Fortez.
good.
Yeah, we listened to that yesterday on the stream, and it was incredible.
Oh, wow. Thank you, guys. Sorry, I'm
It
getting
was-
situated. I got my coffee. I'm ready now.
No problem. I want to give a quick intro real quick. It was funny. You know, I've been listening to you since the 1,000 Chains freestyle. That was
Oh,
the first
man.
time I heard your music.
That's crazy. That's 2017 with Chuck Strangers.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a blessing.
And-
Damn, almost 8 years.
Almost 8 years. I was thinking about that shit. That's crazy. Does
Yeah,
that
bro.
feel like 8 years ago?
Yo, you was signed to Prime at that time too, right?
Payday? Nah, that was right
Payday,
before.
payday. Yeah, payday.
Yeah, that was right before. I feel like, yeah, that was a window. I dropped an album in 2016 called Righteous, and then we're just making a bunch of music and just feeling like what's the next spirit. So yeah, around the time that I dropped 1,000 Chains, though, that's when all of that situation was kind of happening.
Wow. Does that feel like 8 years ago? Because when I was listening to that track back today, I was like, this does not even feel like 8 years ago to me.
Well, that's a compliment. So thank you. And I feel like for me, I mean, it does in a certain sense, just because I think around that time, and I've been talking about this around this album and just like where my headspace is at and just what I feel like I should contribute to hip hop as opposed to what I can. I hear the angst, you know. I hear like that New York City tension. I hear like, you know, thousands of us on the same block, you know what I mean? Hundreds of us fighting for the same like 10 slots or something. Like that mindset, not even that's a reality. And I feel like 1,000 Chains is like one of those like existential crisis raps, you know what I mean? And making people like hoping people just feel me on that. And I feel like lately I've been shifting to caring about what people feel when they play my music as opposed to feeling me. Cause I don't know if that's always a good thing, so to speak. So
Oh man, no, that's a beautiful
being more
thing.
considerate.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember even getting older in my age, like when I was younger and we were just talking about my journey in comedy. But I do remember like my comedy just wanted to be loud, or my art, I just wanted people to like hear me and understand me. But
Yeah.
that's not really the pursuit that you should be going for as an artist.
Well, I think everybody has strengths, right? Like some people can be like Mitch Hedberg, you know what I mean? And it's just one-liners and you digest all the personality from there. Some people can be like Aziz or something where it's just like, you know, it just happens to be funny as they keep talking. At this point, you have like, obviously like a Dave Chappelle in that world where it's actually a lot more commentary on the world, and obviously that comes from like his forefathers and et cetera. So, and I think hip hop is the same way, right? Like when you rank in, especially if it's lyric based rap music, everybody should essentially be delivering what their pure, like the purest version of their expression, because then that gives, I don't know, the listener a trust that the artist is being authentic to themselves. And I think for me personally, I realized like maybe I shouldn't be so genre bending all the time, or maybe I shouldn't, at least at this stage in my life, like let me actually like hone in and into what I feel like is the most authentic contribution I could give. And I feel like you feel that from the music. If it's for you, you know that I'm doing my best to truly give what I should be giving and allowing space for other people to do their thing, you know.
Do you not think Lightman is genre bending?
I don't view it that way. I know it is eclectic, thank God. You know what I'm saying? Like Spirit ain't like Clean Hands, that ain't like one slide. Naturally, you know, I for me, I look at it more like that's still like the would be genre bending in one way. For me, I just look at as an expression of different ways to write a song. You know, so there's three verse songs with bridges. There's one verse straight through with refrains. There's four verse songs. There's one chorus and two choruses, one verse in the middle. Like I think it's a display of how many ways you can write a song in a certain way or rap, but I look at it more like it's still definitely like pure hip hop music, you know, and contributing to that.
And but it's also very like novel-esque. Like it's like you're right. It's like you're writing. It's like a story. I know it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be like put anything on it, but even by the first song, I mean, you can tell that it's. I don't know. Like I feel like you're in a different type of like you have to be in a different type of mind state to put something like that together.
Well, hopefully down for peace in a certain way. It should be the mindset, you know. Like I mean, I don't know how many times I've been confident enough to like write a linear thought, and I feel like but that's one of the backbones of hip hop, right? Like not just storytelling, but I play this song and there's this perspective I can gain from that artist. You know what I mean? And mood is important for sure. Emotion is important, and verbal gymnastics and all that. Like those all have their places. But yeah, Grace, Grace, Grace starts with. What do you do when you hear rumors about one of your an MC you admire like being in a domestic abuse situation? And that's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's real. And then the second verse is when do you have to draw boundaries on somebody in the industry? I'm not talking about little people, so to speak, or like people you could forget about. Nah, people who are in your world, and you're like, yo, like I have to draw a boundary. And then the last one, what do you do when you hear rumors that you may have been being blocked in your career by another artist? And I think those are important things to think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yo,
for me, once again, it's what I feel like I should contribute. It's how I think. You know?
yeah, that was the song that you played before he got on the call, and I
Yeah,
understood
grace, grace, grace.
that resonated a lot with me because, bro, you on the money with that, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that is a lot of people think about because it's like, you know what I mean? Like I've been in situations where I heard people talk bad about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn,
Of course.
I've been nothing but nice to this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I got to remind myself that I wasn't raised with these dudes, so I shouldn't really take it any personal. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I usually unsubscribe when I find out that a rapper hits his girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Or abuses his girl, or abuses. I unsubscribe. I don't give a fuck how nice you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally don't. I don't sign up for that kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't sign up to motherfuckers rapping about selling drugs and they're the ones doing the drugs mostly. You know what I'm saying? Like, where all this crack is being sold, where all this coke is being sold. Y'all all doing it more than y'all selling it.
You probably
And-
feel that way too, Jeff. Is like when you meet certain people, it does take. You're like, damn, this is. It's hard to separate the art from the artist.
100%, yeah. And I think people do that too. I mean, I think there are personalities. I think when people, switch to, really get into their, per se character or things like that. And then there are people, that is really them,
Yeah. And let me remind you though, for me, because one thing isn't the other. Like to know that that's someone's history or their actions is one thing. To hear about it and not be able to confirm, what do you do with that? Right? Like, and I think we're all always put in those positions. And it's a little bit like cancel culture, but it's not cancel culture because I'm not saying anybody's names. I'm talking about real people. You know what I mean? Like personally, who I'll never say who they are. You know what I mean? But it's like, yo, when you really got to deal with those and you're like, oh man, like, and then what's unfortunate, right, is, and this is what's interesting too, when I performed that, because I did a version of that for Daily Gems with Frank, and right after I finished my take, everybody in the room mentioned the name and they thought I was talking about that person, and I said nope, nope, nope. So that's interesting. It's like, so that means we all are storing these things, and it may be difficult to think about because sometimes it is difficult. If it's a rapper you don't care about, if it's an actor you don't care about, you might be easy to just be like middle finger to that person. But if it's somebody who their moms, or you've been seeing their journey for 20 years, or they've been battling with alcohol, like what do you do with that? And for me, Lightman to me is like, it's very like divinely inspired, but there is this like necessity to consider grace, to consider forgiveness, to at least consider like usually, I have this mindset where everybody's sin makes sense. I got this bar where I say my story makes perfect sense if you read it backwards. And it's kind of like a testament to that. Like you don't like sometimes you got to just assume there are things that exist, not to say that it's apologetic, you know what I mean, or you're condoning behavior, but it is a little bit different when it's your uncle and you know what their upbringing is, as opposed why isn't an MC or an actor or whoever just living just as a complex of a life. So
Yeah.
I didn't come with answers. I just came with like a way to potentially think about things as we move forward as a culture, especially in rap.
That's why I started streaming more than podcasting, and this is why I'm happy that you have such a. So Jeff is the VIP manager at Big Night Live, one of the best venues in Boston. So he
God
works
bless.
with some huge artists, but I feel this way. This is why I had to stop podcasting as much, and I started doing the live streaming more with more close people. Is like I was meeting a lot of my heroes, and I'm not saying most of the rappers that I hang out with are amazing. Like. I want to shout out like all of Griselda. I want to shout Token. I want to shout out all of Bruiser Brigade. But like I was meeting heroes and they were letting me down. You know what I mean? And that's really tough to be like, damn, someone I look up to really is kind of like a piece of shit, or even just like not happy in themselves. You
Right.
know?
Just to see jealousy in the flesh,
Yeah.
disguised as like a way to explain on why you don't like this person or don't think this person deserves this or that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been around that where I don't subscribe to that, and people look at me for being a weirdo, for not picking a side or not being vocal about something that I really don't give a fuck about. You know what I'm saying? Like, people always try to put you into something that you don't need to be in,
Right.
just because that person is jealous.
Absolutely.
It's all jealousy, most of this shit, bro. It's like horrible, and it's amongst men mainly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's disgusting, bro.
Yeah.
To me, my bad. You know what I mean?
No, I agree on that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
God bless.
sorry not to not to start this off on a weird note, but it is funny. So, are you a comedy fan like that? You were
I
naming.
feel like
off
none of
hella
that is weird
comedians.
though. I feel like that's the world we in. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I also feel like I made this album for men in a certain way. Like I think that there is this responsibility we gotta have amongst each other to have certain conversations. Obviously, like the whole album ain't heady if you guys like listen to it in full and you know what I mean and live with it. Like you know what I'm saying. Hopefully, but even if you don't, like. This album is made with that in mind. Like this album is about the world that we're in a certain way. That it is, and at least like what I think should be healthy, more discussions that exist on the music. See that, like that's the thing. I'm an MC. You know what I mean? So like my job is to put this in song, to consider rhythm, to consider how we think, because that's always been the case. It's never stopped being the case that music influences life and lifestyle. You know what I mean? So what am I contributing to that?
Hey, I do want to
but-
ask.
Yeah.
What happened with the Knack track? It was the boogie track. That Knack track was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that was for people. That was for people to enjoy. Yeah, I mean that was never gonna be on the album. I feel like
word.
that was actually the first like rap remix that I ever did on one of my records. But yeah, I think it was important to put Westside Boogie and ST Knack on the same joint because I don't know if they'd exist beyond me. You know what I mean? Like we all in rap music, but I have the ability to pull into both worlds. So and I think hip hop, needs that. Like I feel like, you want to try to work with people who might have a better verse than you on a song, or can kill it in their own right, or else it's kind of boring to listen to. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was important.
I don't like that. Oh, I'm not gonna do with a song with someone if they're gonna do better with me. Better than me. It's like, why wouldn't you want someone to put their all into a song? Like, also, I've never, as a fan, listened to a song as a competition.
Yeah, no, it's a record. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's always
You
about
know-
the record.
Yeah.
To me, that's why the whole EVA Extreme River R shit, we have people going against 5 songs from their catalog and 5 songs from the other catalog. It's not about who's dissing, who's performing, who's really mastering their art. If you really want to make this shit your job, bro, you got to come 10 toes down, like perform your ass off, bro. Motherfuckers just want to go up there. Yo, matter of fact, start my shit over again, y'all. You already know I'm here. Yeah. No. Start this shit over real quick. Like,
Yeah.
This is what you signing up for, bro. You got to come through sharp. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Where are you right now?
I'm in LA. I live in LA now.
Oh no. What's the temp out there?
Like a buck.
You're drinking coffee.
It was beautiful.
Damn.
It's like 7 something. Yeah, I'm 3 hours ahead of y'all.
Well, it's 100
earlier.
degrees right now.
It's 100
Yeah, I
degrees
know.
out
People
here.
are passing out. People passing out in New York. I don't miss it, but I also experience it too because I go back to New York every couple of months. I was just there. I'm gonna be back over there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've been out here for a couple of years now, and it's been
I think
it's
we
been
hung out in LA one
necessary
time.
for my mind. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Remember the Freddie Gibbs.
Pink Seafood Show.
Yeah, we ran into. Oh, we're bad, not good. Yeah. So
that show was
that's why you saw me here. You know, because I live here.
Why did you move out to LA?
I had to. I feel like, so I'm fortunate. Most people leave where they're from because they're running away from where they're from in some way. Like, I think for me, I was hitting a personal ceiling, and I mean, sometimes God just puts things on your heart and you're like, all right, I'm gonna just listen. Like I decided, like within the month, like I said I was gonna move to LA, and within the month we like got out of our spot, found a new spot, made all the accommodations, packed everything up, said goodbye, and was out. You know what I mean? And now that I'm 4 years in living here, while still having, if anything, like a better relationship with New York, I realized what was like calling to me, and it was, I just think I just need a space to think, yo. Like sometimes you get caught up in whatever your field is, and it feels like even if you're not in competition with other people, it's like you still are because you're considering everybody else, and everybody, like things are still very busy, and especially like New York. Sometimes like 10 times a day, you got to tell people what you up to because you're just walking to the store or you're just going to see someone, you know what I mean? And you're just running into all these people. And I just felt like, man, like, what do I actually like want out of my life? What do I want out of this genre? You know, what am I contributing purely? And I'm confident, and I'm brave enough to like just kind of go into uncharted territory, so to speak, and see what I'm made of, you know. And LA was like the only other kind of choice that made sense at the time. My partner, she also would, you know, consider LA as like that was one of her top choices, and so I came out here with my girl, and that's the thing. We got pregnant 3 months in, so it was like a blessing even in that regard because we didn't it wasn't so fixated on industry. It was immediately like, all right, this is already home. Like my baby was born in Santa Monica, California. You know what I mean? I'm from Bed-Stuy, so it was it's been very fruitful in that. Like, of course, it has its challenges, but anywhere you are has its challenges, and I've gotten a lot of mental clarity, you know, and I've gotten a lot of like ability to personally be able to spend time with myself like how I need to. Now, every New Yorker ain't supposed to be in LA, but it worked out for me. You know, it's been working out for me, thank God.
I live in the woods now, and I mean, Thousand just brought me to the Bronx, and we were just talking about it, how like it was really stressful for me. It's like overstimulating. Like,
Yeah.
it's super overstimulating. I need space too, so I get it. Like, being in a city, it can work for some people, but not for me.
Yeah, I also never lived anywhere else. So, yeah, it was time. You know what I mean?
When you leave the city and notice that everything else shuts down, like at 10 o'clock at night, everything is quiet and cool, you're like, damn, this is fire. The Bronx is on 24/7, my bro.
Yeah.
Gunshots, ambulance, fire trucks, cop cars, motherfuckers arguing, the train. Oh, you hear it all.
I was trying to look at your discography to figure out what was Synonyms of Strength, your last New York album.
That was that was right in the pandemic, the EP.
Yeah, bro, your vibe changed up. You got chill. Like, I feel like your shit got like chill. Like, it is funny how it. Do you feel that? Was it meaningful or?
I mean, yeah, kind of how we started this conversation. I feel like I'm still mastering that. You know what I mean? Like, I love rap. now more than I did when I first fell in love with it, you know, and I'm fascinated by it more than ever. And I believe in the power of it more than ever. And one of the things that came to mind was how, once again, how are people feeling listening to you? Um, and that's a responsibility, you know. And I started just being honest about how do I best serve our thing, you know. And one of the things that happened was, yeah, man, that tension just like fell off of me, and now I can decide if I want to like have that energy, that tenacity, because it's in me. You know what I mean? I'm still a New York MC. Like I still was raised five verses in your head, 20 MCs on a show. You basically battling with your set. You know what I mean? Like all these things. So that never leaves you. But it's like I expanded in my relationship to myself and became a lot more sensitive and aware of what my music does when you press play on it, especially if it's for you, and making sure that basically I'm not diluting my own work by being too many versions of myself all on the same song, you know? So sometimes the song does require like, yo, it's just one idea for 24 bars. Like I can't worry about like, now this is my turn up section in the verse. I might ruin the record. You know, I'll leave that for one slide. I'll leave that for other songs, you know what I'm saying? I'll leave that for the one slide remix. Like, all right, that's just me being like, you know what I mean? That's just raw MCing, but you know, I gained that because I was able to. And then once again, I became a dad though too. So I think I just became attentive to my tone. You know, you can make your baby cry. You know what I mean? At 4 months, 2 years, 1.5, whatever. Like all depending on what you say. And being in a relationship teaches you that too. Like sometimes I'm saying the right thing, but I'm not saying it the right way. And why is that not the case when the engineer hits record? You know.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's some real shit. Shout out to Eddie Mick, says so much love for Radman, and then there's
bless.
Rad's
Peace, Eddie.
talking that real shit in the chat. Salute, stay high,
I
179.
also met Radamiz at that Tyron, the red light thing, the interview that you did.
Yeah, we just
I
dropped
think it
another
was-
one now today.
Oh, word?
Oh, word?
Yeah, yeah. We did the Lightman interview. Yup.
Fire. Yeah, I was there sitting. I forgot you guys did like a private interview. I think it was you, Crime Apple, and somebody else.
Oh yeah, and
Okay,
Feeve. Mm-hmm.
Feeve, word, and Feeve.
I have a crazy question for you, and this ties you into this too. If when you blow up, if like when you get superstardom, what's the craziest thing in your rider?
Well, one, let's see if I'm supposed to blow up. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm not attached to, and I know I'm wilding, but I'm just trying to be honest. You know what I mean? Like I don't view my life like there is a moment when it will, and this is what I'll do. Right now, I'm talking to 7 billion people. I don't make music like this is my size audience and I'm talking to them. I'm talking to the world at all times. So let's see. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if that's supposed to be in my cards. Now, if it is, and I'm supposed to be this like superstar and I have a rider that everybody has to fulfill all the points or I'm not showing up. Um, yo, you know, it's not exactly the case, but I feel like I've always wanted to do a tour um and really change the dynamic of the school in the city. You know, like I feel like there's always like I remember when I was in high school, Bow Wow visited us, and that like meant everything because I'm in ninth grade. It's 2006. You know what I mean? Fresh as I'm is killing it, right? Like whatever that is, and like he pulled up to like Brooklyn, like downtown Brooklyn, and like just talked, and I was like, man, that's like the illest. That's like the illest thing to be able to do with your time and to invest your star power into creating more of a facility for like more success to happen is something I'm very passionate about. So I feel like it would because I don't drink alcohol and I don't smoke, but you know I stopped drinking alcohol. I don't smoke. You know what I mean? So like the craziest thing in that sense would just be expensive juices or something. You know what I mean? Or like the highest quality water. But
They're gonna make you
that's
change
what I
the whole
actually
school,
imagine.
Jeff.
Nice. We'll change schools, yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's
just like
dope about
pull
Wow
up
Wow.
and yo, I got 20 for y'all. Who's the illest rapper here? Pick 3 of them. Let's rhyme, record it, and then that could be your moment because because we all need, I'm from, once again, I'm from like the projects in New York, like, and where I've gotten now has been like a culmination of a small amount of people, but the right people believing in me. So I know how much it means to like have somebody you could rock with, and you're in high school or you're in middle school or whatever, and it's just like Theophilus London pulled up to my high school. He was part of my music business class, and this was before he like worked with Kanye or anything. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing he had done was got booed off of a BET stage. But I remember it. You know what I mean? And I remember like, oh, it's tangible to like make a career. You know what I'm saying? And pursue. So I feel like that's the answer that came to my mind. I know it's not,
Nah, I
probably the
like that.
best
That's
one.
the best
you know?
answer
like
you
that.
can give. Whitezikin in the chat says Dr. Dre came to our middle school graduation back in
what I'm saying?
1995. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
John
don't forget
Cena
that
was
stuff.
my high school graduation speaker.
This is what I'm talking
Did you
about.
see him?
He handed me my diploma.
Yo,
it was crazy.
Gangsta.
Radamiz, La India and Tito Trinidad, when he won the belt, they pulled up in front of my building in a float to visit a lady in
Come
the
on.
fifth floor of my building. Blew
You
my
see what
mind,
I'm
bro.
saying? You see what I'm saying? It's like I was thinking about that. I'm like, yo, if God ever wants me to win a trophy, I already have a couple of award speeches in mind, but one of them is I'm gonna just say it in Spanish. You know what I
I
mean?
like
Like,
that.
and no, and that's it. And bye. Like not at the Latin awards, like at the English awards, like yo, and then it's like, yo, if you get it, you get it. You know what I mean? Cause it's true. We need that. Like, we need to be able to. It's like we need to be able to have it accessible. I know, like, for most of stardom, the artist is supposed to be elusive, and part of it is true. You should be, because you got to protect your mind. Your mind is a very powerful thing, especially when you have payroll and all these things going on. But if like I say it on the album, amongst the people where you find me, and I feel like that's when I'm most useful. I don't think I need to be on a mountain. I think you need to be surprised that you can see me.
You know how I know you're a better person than me is because the only thought I ever had that if I won an award, like a big award, I just thought I want to go up there in a T-shirt.
Hard.
you like wanted
Facts,
to
though.
mean something, and in my mind I'm like, I just want to wear a T-shirt.
Yeah, but that's good. I feel like that's just as important. It's signaling your truth. You know what I mean?
Damn. What made you get sober? Because you rapped about it on the album. That's funny that you brought it up because I was gonna ask
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I mean, without it being too heavy, because it actually isn't. I just started looking at the same kind of thing. Like, if I'm supposed to be successful, what could get in the way of it? And I just started addressing it. I just started addressing those things. So I started working out. I started praying more. I started like implementing like a healthier routine with just like my body. And I'm not perfect, but alcohol, I always was like, man, like I'm not trying to cheat on my girl. You know what I mean? And alcohol just could give you some googly eyes. I'm not trying to be a drunk driver, but you might drink 2 drinks and get in your car because it's right there. Like all those kinds of things. And then worse, you know what I mean? Like what if I'm offending somebody and I don't even realize I'm offending them because I'm 3 drinks in and they had a lot of love for me, but I'm meeting them at this. I'm hyped because it's open bar at the red carpet for this thing, and now I'm off, and now I'm messing up my shot. So I was kind of like, how many things can I get in order, so that if my name is called, if I am put in that seat, if tomorrow, if right now my phone blows up and I get 10,000 messages, because I believe people when they say that, they say, yo, I was just da da da, and then one day I open up my phone and right, like I don't think people are lying when they say that. I think it does happen. I think it does take 20 years to have an overnight success kind of a thing. So if it's my turn, how do I respect that finally the work I've put in got me here by removing as much things that could be used against me as possible.
And
That's
do
it.
you feel like it has helped and changed?
Yeah, because I think it's easier to keep weight off. I feel like my mind is clearer. I don't think I'm saying the wrong things as often as I was. And I'm not putting myself in environments that I don't need to be. See, that's the other thing, like I'm not really trying to make my money after 2 a.m., after 1 a.m., like I don't know if I'm that kind of artist, so yeah, you got to be sharp in this world, man. It takes 1,000 moves to build your reputation, and 1 or 2 slip ups to like destroy the whole thing. So let me at least like, yeah, not have Hennessy be the case, for that.
Hey, do you feel like sobriety, Jeff? Do you feel like sobriety plays a role in people's success, seeing bigger names? I actually was going to ask you that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it earlier about people. I think are going the healthy lifestyle. I think it has to do with longevity as well. I think as we get older, that hangover now is lasting a little bit longer. That
Fact.
choice, that choice in food. What instead of eating, that pizza, now eating sushi, feel a little bit better, feel a little bit more energetic. Working out. I think and those things, by the way, are all things I don't do. So, but I'm a large guy as well. But but I do think it has to do with it. And we always talk about, and I talked about it earlier about longevity. And you want to be up there. You don't want to rely on those certain things. You want to maintain a healthier as we get older. I think that's absolutely. You see it more and more, especially with the older people being healthier.
Yeah. What
and your
rappers-
memory, you know what I mean? All these things.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
What rappers did you look up to growing up versus do you look up to now with this knowledge? Because I feel like it is very different. You know what I mean? The people I looked up to as a kid versus who I look up to now.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if artists like directly inspired this. I'm not gonna lie. But now that doesn't mean that, because I don't know who's sober. I don't know who's disciplined in that way. Like, I do think, to your point,
I
you know,
just mean
hip
in
hop.
general. I just mean in general. It doesn't have to be about sobriety.
I mean, just like the way you think. I feel like,
Yeah, just
Andre,
like career path.
Jay.
Like who has a career that you respect the path that they took.
Yeah, I mean, many, because first I will give you names, but many first and foremost, most actually, because it's so hard to like just even release a song and do a show and book a tour and all these things. So I have a lot of respect for, like, just because you're not my taste doesn't mean I don't have respect for like you staying in it and figuring out your path and adhering to your audience. But I look at a Jay, a Nas, the normals. I look at a Prodigy and just the way he like just bended a lot, you know what I mean, over time, with his subject matter and what he included / what was the through line. You have Andre up there. You got Common up there. You have Yasin and Black Star up there. Um, I'm a bro. Everybody in the certain anybody you can kind of name. I feel like right now, like when you say current, I look at more like who, like, I think hip hop got to a place where like you got to get more specific about the thing that you do, and people really respect that. So like I've been watching, like the other night I was watching a bunch of like Rock Marcy and Kai interviews from 10 years ago, and I was like, man, I sound like these dudes. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a certain like respect level for respecting what you specifically do and building a career on that. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to casting a wide net and hoping you get the fish that you need. I do feel like when a niche audience is the same thing as a sold out stadium in a certain way now, especially because hip hop is older. So we could really actually be in our 50s, penning some of the best verses in our careers. So like, yeah, you should probably try to get on that stage and look alright, and you might get called for GQ. You want to look good, like whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? But that maintenance and but ahead of all of, like on top of all of that though, I think I just appreciate seeing people make decisions and end up in as like true to their path as possible. I can always gain something from that. I'm informed more by that than actually like mimicking or taking from anybody's style in their life.
Do you think, now that you've been in LA 4 years, I know you go back to New York as you said, do you think that seeing that the scene in LA shapes your style of music at all? I know you have your own style, but as opposed to the New York, kind of underground like scene, being around like people, obviously take in what's around the surroundings, and how LA is different from New York, or do you see a lot of similarities between the two in the scenes, even being on different coasts?
Yeah, I mean, being from New York and still having my footing in New York, I appreciate the way it's evolving. Now, for me, soon as I'm there nowadays, like once I hit that 14-day, 15-day mark, I get back into the same kind of routine. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, like that's like where you're from. So I eat here, I go here, I hang out with this person, et cetera, et cetera. Where LA, I don't have that authority. I don't have a ceiling in LA. Where it feels like in New York, I'm growing the ceiling, I'm pushing the ceiling up the more time I do things elsewhere because I still contribute to New York. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still the thing. So I feel like for me, it's my relationship is more so them in tandem with each other as opposed to like one versus the other because LA hip hop scene, I don't know how much I'd say I'm a part of the LA hip hop scene, even though I work with West Coast based MCs and do things in that space. Cause for me, like my family is really that's my stronghold here. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I'm in a dedicated relationship. I have a 3-year-old daughter. Like, you got a car, you got rent, you like so my priorities are so familial that I have a respect for like my time in a different way. And it takes so long sometimes to write a verse, finish a record or whatever that like a lot of my time, my downtime spent in LA is more working on my craft and doing the small amount of socializing that I do. Whereas when I'm in New York, I got help with the baby. Now I'm like hitting every spot. So they kind of just collab. I know it's not a direct answer, but it's more so a collaboration of both coasts that how that exists personally in my life.
Yeah.
How
And
did
then you
you?
meet, of course, and then of course and then more directly, of course, then yes, you're around a lot of MCs, and there is a bigger studio culture, I say, in LA.
Right.
Like not that you would be surprised, but one would be surprised, like how much people I just will be in the studio with that we don't follow each other on Instagram, we don't whatever, you know what I mean? But you're having real dialogue, like. You know what I'm saying? Like when I saw 1,000, you know what I'm saying? Like he knows who's backstage, and it's like I'll never post any of that. And there's a lot of that happening too that's informative in its own ways.
Yeah. How did you meet your producer? What Fortes?
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah,
how did you link up with him?
I actually met him for the first time just now when we did the Lightman album shows. I did a show with the Department of Education in New York, and we did a listening, and we did some press. That was the first time we actually ever linked in person. It was
Wait, you
all
did a
digital
show at the
before.
Department of Education?
Yeah, I do work with the DOE in New York.
Whoa.
What do you do?
Yeah.
That's dope.
I basically, by the grace of God, like, I produce my events and I produce a specific way of having a show and experiences. So we did our third one, and it was a panel where I interviewed 3 people at the same time, and then I did 10 songs off of the album, and it was like like private, like 100 people thing. And but I've done yeah, I basically build shows and just have these like joints, you know what I mean, that are and students are involved, faculty, people in the DOE, and then your own fan base. This last one was the first time it was like my audience predominantly. Usually it's been the work with the arts office, with the arts hub, is essentially to inspire more of a direct relationship between the 5,000 schools in the New York State and the DOE arts office to try to like improve what resources are available and et cetera. So the shows and the events are kind of to inspire that camaraderie and hopefully deepen the relationship.
How did that? How did you come up with the idea? But then how did you implicate that and build it into something like this?
Well, you know, there's a couple ways to answer that. One of them, by the grace of God, my old high school principal becomes the person who's in charge of this for the state. So another part is, unfortunately, I'm of the most successful people to graduate from that high school, so I stand out. You know what I mean? I kept doing my
You
work.
just said unfortunately.
Of course, yeah. You don't want to be a scarcity. You don't want to be the one. You know what I mean? Like it sounds cool, right? But like you want it to be like 30 people are doing better than me, in right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
know what you're saying.
but then I've continued to work, and I mean I've always like had education as a part of. Like I remember going out to Boston and speaking at Emerson College and doing a panel at Harvard and doing middle school and high schools. Like I've always done that. You know what I mean? So I think that it was easy to kind of infuse me because I'm already inspired by education as like an aspect of what my career should be contributing to always. So
Yeah. Thousand did an event at Harvard actually.
We snuck in a few times.
Yeah.
And we smoked weed.
I don't
in
think we're
Harvard.
allowed back. We smoked out one of the most influential rooms in all
The
of
Signet,
Harvard.
the Signet Society room, which is like the art.
sometimes you
room.
got to do things so you got the story. You know what I mean? I'm not here to knock it.
Sometimes you gotta smoke a joint in a crazy place.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
facts.
yo.
I smoked
Yeah,
a joint.
I was on a panel with D1 and Paul Willis, my man Paul Willis over there, talking about it was a graduate program talking about the importance of like like from an educator's perspective to understand the significance of like the role that hip hop plays in the
All
youth.
niggas from Harvard stole all our people's artwork, man.
It's crazy, right?
They
They
got
did?
all that art hanging from everybody's countries except theirs, man. So that inspired me to light a fucking blunt.
Nah,
Inside of fucking.
once
Harvard
again, we
with
all
an
serving our
18
purpose, V. You know what I mean? We got to do our
smoked that
part,
shit.
yo.
I was like, this is for my ancestors, man. We smoking up this bitch.
It is funny though, because as a comedian, I do like to do things for the bit, but then it's tough because like you might feel this with rappers, like looking up to comedians and then realizing what comedians you looked up to, you're like, they're living crazy lives. They're not living like a righteous life. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was talking about earlier. Like the people I looked up to as a kid, like they were like crazy people, and I like
Yeah.
that. But like I was looking up to crazy people. You know what I mean?
And you know what's interesting about that? That's what I think. I think what's unhealthy in a certain way is to look up to people too much anyway. And I don't mean that like it's derogatory to drive inspiration from other people, but I just don't think people are perfect. I start people at 0, not 100, you know? And so from there, let me like get to know you. You know what I mean? And if I have a relationship with your art, then I have a relationship with your art, but I'm never gonna use that as a virtue signal to across. It's like for some reason people think because you could like make 10 jump shots in a row that you're kind to your parents. Like I don't know why do we do that? You know what I'm saying? Like you're a great MC, so that means you're respectful to your fans. Like we cover too much things instead of just like it's one by one. You know what I mean? It's piece by piece. So I feel like honestly, I feel like I represent that in the music. Like I don't. Like if you idolize me, you're not listening to me properly. I'm only thinking. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you this is what influences me to think this way. Now it's more of a conversation. And so I feel like that's healthy though. You should experience that. So that way it's like because I think where that leads you in a certain way is like to become a better person yourself so nobody thinks about you that way. And that's an interesting journey right there.
Non-musically, where do you draw inspiration from? Like,
I mean, you said it earlier. Comedy is one of the things. You know what I'm saying? I feel like comedy has shown me. I relate to comedians in a certain way. Also because of like what I specifically do. Because you have no basis for like real entertainment other than how I arrive at points. You know what I mean? And how I like you're just up there and you're sensitive to the crowd, but you have things prepared and you also have things in your back pocket and you have a responsibility to essentially like, I think what's funny is when people hear someone say a thought that they've thought but never verbalized. And I think music is the same way in a lot of ways, Like you got a thought off or a comparison or you got this punchline off and people are like, man, I thought, oh yeah, like that's right. Like, like I agree with that. I also experienced that. Like nobody ever said it or said it this way. And comedy has that same kind of power to like unify our subconscious, you know what I mean? And you find resonance in it. So comedy is definitely one of the big ones. But honestly, like, yeah, my faith, my family, and just rap music in general is those are gonna be like up there, to predominantly. But I gain from the world. I love the fashion space as well. Like when you're really talking about people who, once again, like artists have a sensitivity for like how things sound and designers and architects in that space have a sensitivity to how clothes land on your body. Like we need people who are mad specific. You know what I mean? And those are the people who like change the world on a almost unidentifiable level, but then it's apparent when you like zoom out, you know?
Yeah. This motherfucker right here you're one of the best dressed. When I've seen you at work,
Not
you got
today, but I got
you
the
got the
suits.
nice suits on. Oh my god, this
Yeah,
dude
get
knows
busy.
how-
Yeah, it's a good tailor. You
I
gotta
thought
have
you
a
might
good
have showed
suit,
up in
you
a
know?
suit
Good
today.
slacks.
Shit, it's too hot for that.
But that is important. I used to like dressing like I've been thinking about that more because like before I liked being like the worst dressed somewhere. I thought that was funny, but like
Yeah.
it's not always like not everything's about.
But being the
bit.
worst dressed could be you being fly though, because that's what Andy Warhol said in his autobiography. He said he always just tried his best to like dress the worst. You know what I mean? And so it made him stand out. You know.
I feel like if you want me somewhere, if you want me to pull up somewhere, you want me to pull up to your wedding, your party, however the fuck I pull up is however the fuck I pull up. You feel me?
Facts.
I don't care about no suit. I don't care about no shit. I'm wearing whatever I feel like I wanted to put on that day.
See, but if it's time for you to wear a suit, but if you feel like wearing a suit and you got to go to Trader Joe's, you should just do that. See, like that's me. Like I might wear a suit to Trader
hell
Joe's
yeah.
and wear a T-shirt to accept an award. Like I
Were
feel
you
like
the kids
you know,
who dressed up
it's
in
that,
crazy
you know?
outfits and went to school?
Hell no. We
No,
couldn't get
no,
away
no.
with that.
I was a sweatpants kid.
Yeah, me too. You couldn't get away with that kind of shit in my school. You had to have a fresh pair of kicks, fresh pair of hair. Like, you know what I mean? You had to have certain guidelines. You wore shit that was out the realm. Around my era, they'll be like, "Yo, son, weird. Like, son, this, son, that." But that became regular.
Yeah, right.
Damn. See, kids are really expressive now. I kind of like that.
Nah, back then, bro.
I like that you can just wear what you want. You know what I mean?
You
like,
tell your dad you wanted to wear hot pink, he'll look at you like you was stupid. Like, oh, I like that hot. What the fuck you like hot pink for? You know what I mean? Now you can wear hot pink.
If you fly enough, you can wear anything.
Yeah, basically.
That's the
I
thing.
like wearing bright colors. I like all that shit. But I do like my dad used to hate that I wore sweatpants in public, but I like
What?
sweatpants.
Your sweatpants back then compared to like a pair of Nike sweatpants, polo sweatpants, you probably had some like you probably had like the old school like
The ones that were too short, the sweatpants that were
like
too
100
short.
white old dudes already wore it. Like it's like already worn out. Like,
How do you feel about thrifting?
Fire.
Yeah, I don't think you should look down on thrifting if you're like trying to get fly. You never know where you're gonna get it from. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a blessed person, so I get a lot of like expensive things for free, and people think I'm just like shopping, and I'm like, nah, I just get blessed. You know what I mean? But I
What's
also
the
like
craziest thing you've been blessed with?
unnecessary to mention. You know what I mean? Unnecessary. For real. It is, but I'll say this. You never know what you find at the good. Like thrifting is like, you know, I also believe in like, you know, not creating so much waste, especially in fashion. You know what I mean? Like so much of it is like, so much of that world is producing too much clothes to upkeep a certain like view on your brand and profitability for your company, and they're trying to expand. You know, everything ain't capitalism's dream. You know what I'm saying? Like capitalism is like, you got to make more than you did this year, make more this year than you did last year, or you're failing. And that's not true. And so thrifting is a good way to like just find some pieces, man. And I thrift consistently as well. You know, I thrift consistently as well, because I'm not trying to like, I try to be mindful of what I consume, because I give away a lot of clothes too. I can't keep too much things at the same time. Like you might come over to my crib and, you know, I just give you a pair of Raf Simons jeans or something, because I'm like, yo, I got to make space for
You're
another
not
blue
giving the
jean or
three of
something.
us any jeans.
Yeah, I would. You'd be
We're not fitting in those
you'd be
jeans.
surprised. You'd be.
I don't even
I
fit in
get
that
blessed so much. I bless. You know.
Wait, who has the biggest? This is a. Who has the biggest pant size? Here, we're playing a game. Who has the biggest pant size? I'm a 46.
40.
44.
I'm the biggest out of the three of
46
us.
gangster. Okay, so yeah, maybe size wise I wouldn't gift it to you, but price wise I would. You know what I mean?
Word.
'Cause I don't got it.
Favorite suit?
I
Maybe
don't
you
think I
could
got a
give me
46
two
laying
pairs
around.
of jeans and I could sew them together.
My favorite suit?
In the arsenal that you like, yeah, this is
Yeah, I got this plaid suit. Yeah.
nice. You ever caught some neck in your suits? You ever got like had some bitches give you neck, like pull up?
I mean, it's
I
hard
would
in
have
the
been getting
I
my
mean,
shit sucked in my suit. Date night live, pull up.
They said this was the pause cast.
Nah, you talking about how big is these dudes' pants? You in those jeans? You over here like on your genuine shit.
Oh, yeah. Wait, who's coming to Big Night Live?
Oh, Wayne Wonder.
Wayne Wonder. Would you go see
Alright.
Wayne Wonder?
Yo, you gotta. Why not? You know what I mean? Why would you not?
Why not?
You got the opportunity.
I love me some Wayne Wonder.
What got you wondering about?
What have you been listening to recently?
I want to try to be recent. Like
They said I have to get prescription. They said I have to get prescription jeans in the chat.
Yo, that's OD.
Damn.
I've been listening to Salt. You know Salt. I've been listening to their discography. Yeah, Salt is dope.
Give me
They're
a song
collective
to
out in the
look up.
UK. Just look up all the untitled albums. Just look up all the untitled. Cleo Soul's a part of it. Sims, God bless. I know they're going through stuff, but the Salt album is the Salt discography I've been checking out. I was listening to Saba's album. He just dropped something with no ID. That was dope. I was checking out Uncle John, and August Fanon's joint. I try to listen to things, you know what I mean? So I was checking that out. I listened to a bunch of stuff. I've been listening to a lot of like merengue and Juan Luis Guerra. You know what I mean? Like bachata,
fire.
you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm like the Juan Luis Guerra of rap. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, sorry. You know what I mean? But like I feel like that's my path. So I've been listening to his stuff a lot. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things. I've been listening to Ka lately. I feel like I've been understanding his spirit
Rest in
more
peace.
lately.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Tom.
Like just going through that discography, I feel like, once again, like I feel like it's being refreshed. Like I have like a newfound perspective and appreciation for what he intended to do. It's so different than what I intend to do, sound and feeling wise, but I feel like I've been able to gain from that in a lot of ways. And Yaya Bay, she dropped an album. I was checking that out a bit. I mean, I do my best to like, I don't know how much things I like sit and listen to for months, but I do my best to like pay attention to what's going on and what people are trying,
Yeah, that's cool. I feel that same. There's so much music out now that it is tough to go like listen to an album for a few months. You know what I mean? Like, because there's just so much being put on you.
That's how I operate too. Like I let the hype die down for a little bit, and then because everything to everybody is a classic nowadays. Right away, oh, it's a classic, or it's this, or it's that. I rather just before I don't even give my 2 cents to anybody about anything about when it comes to like people's work and how they paint on their canvases and shit like that. I just try to like, if I tap in, I tap in. If I don't, and it's not for me, then it's just not for me. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And my
getting
own
in-
album though, I'm not gonna lie too. Sorry, but I've been listening to my own album like crazy. It sounds amazing.
Fire.
It sounds different because it's out. I mean it more in that way. Like as an artist, you make things and you don't know, and then when it hits publish, it's like the whole thing changes. And I'm like, man, like I really made something I can like, proudly introduce to everybody. You know what I mean? So that's just me. That's actually most of my listening, my own joint.
After we get off, because we've been going an hour, I can't believe it. But after we get off, I want to play people on the chat some of it. So like, what are like 3 songs that we should play the chat afterwards, or a couple songs or whatever. Just what are some songs you want people to hear to listen to the album?
If so, should I treat it like this is the sample package of the album?
Yeah.
So do one slide, offer it, do that joint. I feel like you should do No Treasure. So that's like third and fourth, and then end it on 6 a.m. That's all. Actually, just do that order. Just do the second, third, and fourth song. So 6 a.m. one slide, No Treasure, and that should give you a good relationship to what I'm about.
Fire, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you being bucked up. I appreciate it.
Radamiz, I appreciate you so much too, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
And blessings to
Yeah,
you,
man.
as a fan, bro.
Yeah, nah. God bless all you guys, and I hope this situation is a lot more fruitful and successful than you guys anticipate. So, congratulations on doing things and aligning schedules and recording and hitting buttons and putting things out, man. It's not light,
Man, thank you so much, and thanks for this conversation. I'm going to listen to your album again with fresh ears, knowing who you are better as a person. And,
Thank you.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Much love, y'all.
All right. Peace.
Yeah. Hey,